People deluded, I'm back again. Yeah, as you can see, clearly I've got my whiteboard here, and I'm here to speak about a couple tactics in relation to Arsenal versus Liverpool, specifically Xhaka at left back. Now, no disrespect to Xhaka, I actually think we'd probably need to start him in midfield to a certain degree, but in regards to left back, I think it's an accident waiting to happen. He's not a left back. Quite potentially, depending on how you look at it, out of all our central midfield players, he's probably the worst defensively. So that's not a dig at him because he did all right at left back, but against Liverpool, it's a different beast. I thought it'd be a different beast against Zaha, and he did all right. Obviously, he conceded a pen and things like that. So you can imagine Salah, Mane, Firmino, whoever is on that channel, because let's not forget they all interchange in regards to movement. They all make different sort of runs and things like that. And then several other things. Now, I'd like to think Monreal or Kola both of them will be fit come Saturday. We know they've had injury issues and they're being assessed. Probably, if I had to assume, they've been wrapped in cotton wool this week in relation to their injury. Probably a light training session, probably mid-intensity, probably being nursed by all the physios and all them people involved to get them to full fitness. And I actually think at least one of them has to be fit. I'm not on the training ground, but one of them has to be fit. Obviously, neither is going to play against Blackpool purely as a precaution. Should both not be fit, I'd actually go with Maitland-Niles way before I look at playing Lichtstein on the left-hand channel, and the same goes for Jenkinson, who played against Blackpool. But yeah, Xhaka. Obviously, let me hold this up, people, for better viewage and that. Now, a lot of it doesn't make sense. It's three separate... my handwriting's poor, my drawing's crap, but it's three separate scenarios in it, so don't pay attention to any until I tell you to. The first one is this. Poor handwriting and drawing, but like I said, if you imagine the halfway line... These are a couple of our midfielders. I'll get onto the ones that are circled, but the dots are the black dots are our players, isn't it? This will come into play in a second. Ignore that. But this is our back line now. Oh man, hold this properly, man. This stuff hurts my hand. But yeah, people. As you can see, obviously, is it gonna bang like that? Is it gonna bang like this? Okay, we'll run with this. But obviously, as you can see, people, yeah, boom. Typically, as an Arsenal side, we want to get onto the ball and we want to do certain things. So naturally, we're going to move higher up the field, the whole team, or there'd be gaps. You imagine the halfway line, our two centre-halves and our two full-backs. Pay attention to Xhaka. Xhaka isn't the most mobile. You've seen him in midfield, people. He's quite poor in that regards. With his back to goal or on the turn or the defensive things, going backwards, he's pretty poor. No disrespect to him, but his strengths aren't that way. His strengths are going forward. So if you imagine that left back now, on the turn, when our fullbacks are going forward to get onto the ball, and he actually, credit to him, he actually does do it at fullback because that's his instincts, there's going to be gaps. Now, common logic speaking, if you're slow and you're going against Mane, Salah, Firmino, etc., you don't want to get caught in a foot race. So imagine that. We get high, they exploit these gaps. This is what this line means, people. Down the channel in a foot race, he's getting breezed. There's a gap. Exploit the player ball into him and things like that. Exploit that. These two red circles, I don't know if I'm holding it properly, that shows what my actual biggest fear is, and that's being doubled up against on that side. Because if you could imagine Trent Arnold or whoever's playing fullback and then whoever's on the flank, they're just going to triangle. One's going to make a run, either outside and then one's going to stay here, or one's going to go inside, and then I'd like to think a midfielder is paying attention and follows him, but then he's down the outside. Either way, one man can't defend against two. So that's my first thing that I'm very much scared of, in my opinion, people. So yeah. My big thing is that Xhaka's strengths aren't defensively. His tackling is no disrespect, because he makes up of it with his possession stats and being on the ball and things like that. But in regards to defensively, in midfield, we know he has a problem smelling danger. How many times have you seen late runs into the box in midfield and the opposition scoring when Xhaka or someone else could have smelt danger? We know he has a problem, like a lot of our midfielders at this club, go inside, like, I haven't got the example, but if you can imagine, obviously we're on a pitch, one midfielder going to that flank, covering that flank, helping out their wingers and fullbacks. He has an issue with everything defensively for all his strengths on the ball. So if you can imagine, if you're going into a defensive position now, there are concerns. You can get away with it against Sporting Lisbon to a degree and Palace to a degree, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, they will test him. And this brings me to my second example, people. Naturally speaking now, back four, Ignore everything until I tell you it comes into play, people, yeah? Yeah? Thank you. Now, wait, which one's that? Yeah, it's two separate ones. Ignore the bottom half, people. Back four, as marked out with the X's. If I'm Liverpool, you've seen us concede goals like this already. Balls over heads, over Bellerin's head, over Xhaka's head, in behind Mustafi and Socrates. If they win the header, cool, but if their body position is poor, it's going over the head. To which, going on from this example, you're beating Xhaka in a foot race. Xhaka will get left. Xhaka will get left. He will get left. That's another example. Can't remember the point I was trying to make. What point was I trying to make here? That's our fullbacks. Now, I can't remember the point I was trying to make here, people, on a side note, but, oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, again, poor drawing, people, but another one, the thing that scares me the most, you see this green line, sorry, all that means is the areas I can see the opposition going into. This is crosses. Now, Xhaka, another thing, as a fullback, people, you're taught stop the cross. If someone's going to cross, you get out there, you block the cross. You don't need to be a genius to understand why that makes sense, people. Think about it. If you stop a cross or stop someone from crossing the ball, doesn't go into the box and the opposition doesn't score a header, tap in, or you can see the pen or whatever scenario you want to invent. It's common sense. As a fullback, you're taught stop the cross. This is what I saw Xhaka doing against Palace. Reluctant to stop the early cross. If I'm Liverpool, it's the same way if I'm Arsenal and I'm doing it at Liverpool's defence. One way to get Arsenal is early crosses, balls into the box. Because even if you look at the Cardiff free kick or the goals we conceded against Cardiff or some of the goals we've conceded, it's coming from wide areas or crosses. We're doing very well in regards to defending set pieces of a degree, but we're not all the way there yet. And we do quite well, in my opinion, offensively with set pieces. But in returns to crosses in dangerous areas or set pieces, this is where you need to stop the early cross. And what scares me the most is this. Down the flank, because I've just said how he has an issue with that. But another problem with that actually could be you're going to need whoever's playing on the flanks. My gut instinct with this topic in mind would be to play Wells. So let's use Wells as an example. If we use well rep people, yeah. Again, let me get which one am I using there? A black one. So where's the black pen, people? I ain't got the black pen, so just ignore this and just pretend this is him, yeah. If I'm Welbeck, people, naturally speaking, I'm not holding this straight, but naturally speaking, yeah, if you're seeing he's getting doubled up against and he's having an issue defensively, as a winger, you've got to muck in. So if it's 2v2 here and he's got help, it's great, people. But obviously, if Welbs has to drop deeper here, he's leaving a gap because he's not in an offensive position. That makes it easier for Liverpool's defenders to defend against. And depending on his position on the field, the opposition's fullback might actually go forward because he doesn't have to deal with the threat of Welbs. So that could lead us to being under sustained pressure. So in terms stopping the crosses, balls in behind, and gaps are things that really concern me, to be honest, people. So yeah, I think I was trying to make the same point here. I was trying to be too complicated here. As you can see, obviously you've got your two. This is what I remember now. Adding on from that, this is what I want to see as well. The blue is our fullbacks, two centre halves. That's us. The red's Liverpool. Obviously, what was I gonna say? When you've got Bellerin and Monreal, they're more mobile than Xhaka, innit? So they're more likely to go forward. I don't think Liverpool would deal with our problems, would focus on us like that. But if your fullbacks are causing issues for the opposition and, I don't know, the tides in our favour, where the crowd are with us and the possession and all of them things are with us. Obviously, with that being said now, you want your fullbacks to constantly go forward and keep sustaining the pressure. Xhaka, let's use him because he's on the left, isn't the most mobile of players, again, people. So he's going to have to time his runs, when to get forward and when to stay back, so he doesn't get caught in gaps, so gaps aren't left defensively, like we spoke about in this example and possibly that one. If he's doing that, great. It means we have, on one hand, it means we have one extra body in defence to get together with Torreira, who would drop in this space, and it would be cool, people. But obviously, if Xhaka's too defensively minded because he's wary of the pace of Firmino and Salah and the rest of them, like I was telling you earlier, that's easy to defend against. I mean, that's easy to defend against purely because Liverpool, marked out in red here, people, their attackers are not gonna have to worry about going back with their fullback and thinking, okay, Klopp will get onto me if I don't help out my fullback and they score. So they won't have to go back. So naturally speaking, people, if they don't have to go back, they can stay in position. So doesn't that make sense? So if they have to stay in position and they're not being troubled, it allows Liverpool to sustain more pressure on us. Versus, I actually want us to have a goal. So with our two main starter fullbacks who are quite good offensively to a degree, Liverpool players are going to have to go back with them. That's going to relieve pressure on our centre-halves to get higher up the field and possibly mean we don't get caught 2v2 or 3v3 on the break or at some point in play. It probably will happen, but you get the point, people. For what it's worth, I don't think Xhaka is going to play, people, at left-back. I hope so. Obviously, if people are injured, I'm not on the training ground, so I don't know people's fitness. I'd like to think the club give... Colo or Monreal every minute possibly to prove their fitness, and the fitness test will probably go right down to the wire, possibly on the morning or maybe even late afternoon prior to the game to see if they're actually fit. But if not, I've already said I'd like to see Maitland-Niles in there. So yeah, people, I hope it's made sense. Obviously it looks like gibberish, but I've talked you through it. So yeah, man. What more can I say? There's nothing more to say on that front, man. All I can do is hope we put in a good account, a good account of ourselves against Liverpool. It's a top 6 side and them things. But for now, people, deluded. Comment, subscribe, and do the rest. I'm out.